It's time to see who you guys are considering the favorite this week. Robert Dameron, you're first on the tee. Did Tiger make your top five?
Tiger did not make my top five, oddly enough. Winged Foot is just not Tiger's happy place. Never really done much around there. It's such a tough golf course. These are my five favorites, though. Number five, I went with Webb Simpson, U.S. Open champion in the past, but U.S. Open style player. Xander Schauffele, number four. He's only played 3 U.S. Opens. He's got a 5th, 6th, and a 3rd. Colin Morikawa, how do you win a U.S. Open? Control, Damon, control. This guy can control his golf ball. Dustin's the hottest player in the world right now, but I'm taking the Kentucky Thoroughbred. Without Brooks in the field, I think he's just the mentally toughest guy out there, and it's going to take some unbelievable toughness around this golf course when the rough is about 8-9 feet deep.
Does he drive it straight enough? That's my question about Justin Thomas, who, outside of his win in the PGA Championship in 2017, doesn't have a great record at majors, just 3 top 10s in 18 starts. So when you look at my list, you're not going to see Justin Thomas, though I think he's a nice young man. Just not liking him this week at Winged Foot. But I do agree with you about Xander Schauffele. I mean, he seems built for majors, at least for contending in majors, trying to take that next step. Colin Morikawa, as adaptable as any young player to a golf course, to a situation that we've seen since a young Jordan Spieth. Rory McIlroy, a past U.S. Open champ, potential baby bounce, playing for more than himself. Dustin Johnson needs no explanation. Champion at Oakmont. Winged Foot and Oakmont, very different golf courses, but they kind of take turns as the toughest test in American golf. And finally, Jon Rahm. Jon Rahm's just a little bit better of a driver of a golf ball right now than Dustin Johnson. Strokes gained off the tee, he's ahead. Driving accuracy, he's ahead of Dustin Johnson, which is why Jon Rahm, in my opinion, finished tied for 3rd last year at Pebble, by the way. That's my number 1 pick for the U.S. Open.
I think that's a great pick, but I'm also fascinated about the fact that you've got Rory McIlroy in there at number 3.
Yes.
But Dameron, you haven't got Rory McIlroy featuring on your top 5 at all.
Nor Jon Rahm.
Now, Rory is currently struggling to finish inside the top 30. I know he obviously did at the Tour Championship, but what is making you have so much belief in him coming into this tournament?
Baby bounce. Rory McIlroy, listen, we love him for his honor. I know this is hot stuff. Anna's throwing her pen around because we're all excited. Rory McIlroy has said himself, sometimes he just has these moments where he's not feeling it. He said when he came back from the break, I was kind of dipping my toe back in the water again. We've seen players play for inspiration. Tiger wanting to play great golf because his kids would know now what he does for a living. I think Rory McIlroy, with the euphoria of being a new father, and we saw him play much better at the Tour Championship than he played in his entire second half of the 2020 season, I think he's going to surprise some people. I think Rory McIlroy, we already know the gifts are there. He's one of the best drivers in the history of the game. But now I believe he has some outside inspiration beyond just playing great for himself.
We'd all love to see it, Robert, but is inspiration and the potential baby bounce enough to take on the teeth of Winged Foot?
Work with me, Robert.
Not without, a lot of momentum going in, and he just hasn't been showing the momentum. Of course, he was playing a little better, but that was at Tour Championship, but he just didn't have a mind in it. He was going out and playing it like a practice round because he just had that new baby. I think you're going to have to be on absolute full focus at Winged Foot, or you can have doubles, triples, back to back to back. And also, even though Rory has won this championship, Europeans and the U.S. Open don't really get along that well.
Graham McDowell on mine, too.
Yeah, but you had Jon Rahm as 1 and Rory as 3.
Okay.
Yeah, who are those guys, right? I mean, goodness.
What do they know?
They're practically American as much time as they spend over here in the U.S.
Good point. Okay, so a bit of debate so far. So let me see if I can iron out some of the creases with my top 5 favorites. I've got Justin Thomas, Robert Dameron, your man, down there at number 5. As Damon said, only 3 top 10s in majors, which just surprised me. Hasn't been on the kind of form that we've seen from him in recent weeks. Jon Rahm, number 4, he could easily be my number 1. He contends absolutely everywhere. He has matured and blossomed into the man who we've all been expecting him to do over the last few months. Colin Morikawa, he is a fairway machine. The man just doesn't make any mistakes. He doesn't miss greens, and that's exactly what you're going to have to be doing this week. Then I'm moving on to Dustin Johnson, the swag that this man carries around golf courses right now. Sign me up for a bit of DJ. And then I've got the X man, number 1. His US Open record, Robert, you mentioned it. 3 starts, T5, T6, T3. There is something about Xander that just comes to life at this course. He had a brilliant week at the Tour Championship, shot the low 72-hole total, even though he didn't walk away with the title. Right. I think it's time. He finished 3rd in strokes gained total last season, 10th in greens in regulation. It is all pointing in a good way for Xander.
But no DJ. None of us picked DJ.
No.
First, I'll ask you why no DJ first for you, considering that great swag, as you mentioned, the great form he carries into the national championship.
To be honest, there's no real particular reason. He could easily be my number 1, and we're splitting hairs between these top 5s. But how long can the streak run for?
Fair.
Second first. They're his last 4 finishes. Can he go another win? Can he keep the streak going again, Robert? I'm not sure.
Well, there's the chance also that the week off kind of damages the momentum as opposed to keeps it going. We don't know. Dustin Johnson's always a great U.S. Open player. That's why I've got him at 2. But frankly, the player, I put Justin Thomas at 1, but I debated, honestly, putting Webb Simpson at 1, and I'm appalled that you two have totally forgotten him. This guy is a style of player that should suit Winged Foot better than anyone, honestly, and we know he's been playing fantastic golf really all season. He hasn't had any lulls in his game. He's sharp, and he's mentally tough when he gets into contention at these type of tournaments. So, I might just flip my upside down right now and put Webb at number 1, and you guys have just totally ignored it.
Nothing wrong with that. Webb's probably my number 6 on a list of 5. But for DJ, for me, it's one thing to be the best player in the world, which he is right now, but it's another thing to actually have everyone think you're going to win. We were robbed of that storyline 3 years ago at Augusta National because everyone was basically giving Dustin Johnson the green jacket before he got hurt. So Tiger carried that mantle of everyone expecting you to win, and you go out and do it with aplomb. I want to see Dustin Johnson, who everyone expects, he's the betting favorite at this point. Now go do it. That's all. That's why I have him at number 2. It's one thing to be favored. It's another thing to be favored and then go out and win that major championship.
Does it bother you two at all that Dustin Johnson has no record? Hasn't even played Winged Foot until this week. It is a course that you kind of do need to see. Now, if he goes out and plays great the way he did at Boston, forget it. No one's going to touch him. But I doubt that's going to happen. And this is a course that is so brutally hard that you almost have to have a fantastic, awesome strategy. And I'm not sure that, having never played it, he's going to be quite prepared for how difficult it is.
It's going to be incredibly difficult. And Justin Thomas, who played a practice round there last month alongside Tiger Woods, who he did slip in that he beat, of course, the major champ. But he wouldn't be surprised, he said, if the winning score ultimately is 6 over par. Now, that is high. That is going to take a real test of patience and whether you can keep your mentality strong enough, because it's not going to be easy out there. And when you think of mental strength and the kind of player who has what it takes to do that, who comes to mind?
I tell you what, in a strange way, it is Dustin Johnson, in that he has shown that he can bounce back from calamity, whether it's calamity within a season or calamity within a round, or not knowing whether he has a penalty called on him or not, as he did 4 years ago at the United States Open. It's going to be fascinating to see what types of strategies these players adopt, the sight lines that they're trying to take, how aggressive they're going to try to be. 7 over wins in 1974 when Hale Irwin gets it done. 5 over wins when Jeff Ogilvy gets it done in 2006. I think that Justin Thomas is right. I think par is going to be your partner, as they say when the high handicappers play. If you make the occasional bogey, you're not going to be losing much ground this week at Winged Foot.